Hey, Renata,
Yeah,
is the microphone on?
I don't know.
I don't know neither. I
Hello?
don't think we're in the broadcast yet. I don't know what's happening. There's a ruddy great big skull up there. Is this where we say professionally that we wait for people to come on?
Yes.
Why is my cardigan in the garbage?
I don't know. You put it there. I didn't.
See, I waited till she wasn't looking and then I turned it on. Hello, everyone. We thought we'd just come on early because we're bored and there is comedy gold happening because we're bored. I'm in a mood. We're mucking around. The sound works. Hallelujah. I'm just going to move it over a little bit.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they can't hear us at all.
There you are. We can hear you, but can't see you. But you can now. I hope you like my attire tonight. Does anyone know the name of what that thing is called that's in my hair? I couldn't find the flower, so I improvised. Have we changed places, have we? You love the hair pieces? Thank you. Thank you. This has come all the way. Oh, it's on that side, isn't it? Come all the way from England. Glastonbury, actually.
We've had a shit week.
It's been fucking awful. So if you don't like the word fuck, this is not the show for you tonight. Just telling you, we're not even attempting music. We're attempting nothing. Even my husband suggested maybe it's time for me to go to the doctors. That's how bad it's been today.
She needs some tablets to settle it down.
I need a happy pill, please.
Oh, well, I've taken mine. So
Oh, good on you.
One of us has had to.
By the time I got to 11 o'clock this morning, I'd had 5 triple shots of coffee. I was off my tits on that. I didn't need anything else. Needless to say, I wrote up the whole presentation for tomorrow. It's all ready to go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, fuckity fuck. That's what I reckon, Amanda. And there's a certain few people out there that deserve some extra fuckity fucks, and we know who they are, don't we?
Oh, indeed we do.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to restrain myself tonight.
You just do that. You just restrain
I've got
yourself,
to use
my
my
darling.
inside voice because we love haters. They give us free publicity for all 16 people that watch their show. Oh, yeah, caffeine and nicotine. Yep. Fuckity fuck. That's our new saying. So tonight's show is the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness. And it's not on the ABC as one dear soul thought it was. Bless. We wish.
If you think that's a good idea, ring the ABC and tell
them. We'll call it the fuckity fuck show on the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness. I'm sure that would go down well with Auntie. Yes, so this is not the tarot reading show. This is the educational show. Can't you tell from the way we're swearing?
Watch the numbers drop. Hold on.
And I've got my big microphone working again, and my little laptop died this afternoon.
It went to laptop heaven.
Fuckity fuck.
Are you reviving that?
I'm going to send it out to my husband, and he can give it mouth to mouth because I'm not going to. I'm just going to give it a bottle up its butt with barbed wire through it and then break the bottle.
He's an electrical engineer. He will have no idea how to fix that. We'll just look at it and go, nah. Just buy a new one, darling.
Yes. So, hi, Grant. How are you? Grant is one of our Patreon parastalkers. So thank you very much for your support. And Cassie is one of our Patreon supporters as well. And Danielle and Lorraine. Lorraine, welcome to the ranks of Grand Poobah, my love. So, yeah, thank you, Leanne, too. There's so many of you on there. Wow. Thank you.
And if you want to keep on supporting us because, hey,
we don't have a job. And I can't get equipment into Australia to sell it. And everybody keeps saying, when are you getting equipment in? I want to buy some. Go, well, I want to sell it to you, but I can't get any.
She's going to float over on a
turd.
On one of those floaty things. She's going to float over to America and get a whole lot and bring it back.
Oh, dear. Anyway, we're trying to introduce ourselves because some people won't know who we are, believe it or not. We're having people stop us in the streets these days.
Yes, hello, Goldie.
Her.
My darling, thank you.
Her who's out on the streets, me is still abiding by lockdown laws.
I had to take my husband for his shot, the knee, in his knee. A shot in his knee and some tablets because he's a wreck.
Of the Hesperus. All right, who are you?
Oh, starting with me. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Renata Daniel, and I used to be the owner of Newcastle Gate Stores, but that's all just gone down the river.
It's just COVIDed away.
It's just disappeared.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on my ass doing nothing at the moment, and I am the owner and operator of Doing Nothing right now. Welcome.
And I'm Anne Ragovich. I'm laughing too much to set my asthma off. And I own Oz Paratech.
Which has no key.
It was the largest paranormal equipment store in Australia. It's just now empty shelves. There's a few odds and sods on there.
Isn't there a song? Empty shelves.
Empty chairs and empty tables. We'd have to empty shelves and empty boxes.
No, you still have some povs. You have some.
Yeah, we've got some povs. Povs.
You have some povs.
Yeah. Back soon. I'm not sure how soon that's going to be. Gina, my love, it's not tarot reading. We are teaching you things tonight. We're educating you. Come back on Thursday for tarot. But tonight we have got two topics for you, and one of those is
Reincarnation.
And mine is talking about Constance, and I've got Raudive, who I used to call Konstantin Raudive, and I always used to call him Raudive because it looks like Raudive, and his work in the field of ITC. And I've got something for you to listen to. Ooh. Voices of the Dead. Ooh. I even did a practice run earlier to make sure we could get it right.
Well, do you want to hit off on that first, just in case that fails miserably, and I can pick up the shreds of what's left?
Okay. Well, mine's not going to be very long. Are you hitting the button tonight?
Well, yes.
Oh, geez. All right. We'll have to fill for a moment longer. Where are you all from? While we're waiting, please let me know. Nicole, me, please. What, my love? This is no tarot readings tonight. This is education. We have education on Monday night where we try to enlighten people's minds. And then on Thursday nights, we give you the free tarot readings. And tonight's free as well. And
if you don't like the show, you can ask for your money back.
Yeah. Or slash your seats. Whatever comes first. They used to say in the drive-in.
Yes, they did.
Are you going to press your button?
I am. Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
Are you ready to be sensible now?
No, but go anyway.
Okay.
So, welcome to Frightfully Good, ABC of Paranormal Strangeness. And tonight we are bringing you the letter R. And I am looking at the topic Konstantin Raudive, who was born in 1909, same year as Renata, and he died in 1974. Now, he was actually Latvian, and he was a writer, and he was an intellectual type. Uh-oh, I think the dogs are about to come in. No, it's only my husband. I won't go there. So he studied abroad, and he was a scientist, and he studied with Carl Jung. So we know what that means, don't we? Because we all listened when we did J for Jung. That means he went down a dark hole into the psyche, trying to understand the inner workings of the mind and what the darkness of the soul means. So he studied parapsychology all his life. And for those who have been doing the introduction to
Wicca,
paranormal investigations.
Oh, yes.
Will know that a proper parapsychologist has a degree in psychology, and they do an extra unit in anomalistic psychology or parapsychology. So it's things that can't be explained in normal ways. So eventually he caught up with the German parapsychologist Hans Bender, who I always think is the robot of Futurama, but never mind.
Anita, this is not tarot night.
This would be
Please
the fourth time
come
we've said
back
it.
on Thursday.
We love you all.
Yeah, come
And
back on Thursday, my darling.
We'd love you to equally support us for this sort of work too. So that
this is our educational evening.
this is where we show you we've got brain cells to rub together. Believe it or not. So Hans Bender was very prolific as one of the first parapsychologists. Well, not the first, but he was very prolific in his work. But he was very interested in electronic voice phenomena, which is EVP. So that is voices that you don't hear with your own ears, but at the time, I've left mine on. No, it's not mine. But you do hear them when you play them back on recording devices such as
voice recorders
or videos and reel-to-reel recorders and things like that.
Cassette tapes.
Yes, we are that old. We are that old.
Well, they were quite important.
They used reel-to-reel. I mean, Konstantin Raudive actually died in 1974, so that's when cassettes were out and happening and records and things. So anyway, they got very excited about EVP, and Raudive published a book on EVP called Breakthrough in 1971, so just before he died. I love this statement. I'll just read this to you. Raudive was a scientist as well as a practicing Roman Catholic. I know.
That's an oxymoron.
Oh, you're going to get hate mail. Again. I don't know why people need to state what their religious beliefs are. I don't get it. Anyway.
Because the part where he was a scientist obviously was not liked by the person who wrote that, but it kind of was superimposed by the fact that he was a practicing Catholic.
Practicing.
Right. So let's not worry about the scientist part.
Let's just keep away from Roman Catholic altogether, because I will go off. Hi, Mark. How are you? What's that flipping around my hair, Susie? That is a god's eye. Can't you tell? I couldn't find a flower, so I just picked up something and shoved it in my hair. It's still got a price tag attached to it from Glastonbury.
It's very spiritual.
Very special and spiritual. I can feel the energy coming through. So how Raudive got involved in this electronic voice phenomena. Now, this is a form of ITC, and if you remember back in instrumental transcommunication, communication to the other side using electronic devices. All right, so he got interested when he read Frederick Jurgensen's book. Do you remember Frederick?
In our lesson from J.
Yes.
It's all coming together now.
It is. You wait.
The circle of life.
There's more. It's all linking in together. This is fantastic. So he went and met with Jurgensen in 1965. And they worked together on making EVP recordings. At first, they didn't really have much success, although they believed they could hear very faint or weak voices in the static. According to Raudive, however, one night as they were listening to one recording, he clearly heard a number of voices. And I do believe it's all in the practice. I think you've got to sit down and practice and learn how to listen. When he listened to one recording, when he played the tape over and over, he came to believe he understood all of the voices. He thought some of which were in German, some were in Latvian, and some in French.
Wow.
Yeah, the last voice on the tape, according to Raudive, was a woman's voice, and it said, you ready for it? Va dormir, Margarete. How about you?
Lovely.
That apparently translates to go to sleep, Margaret.
Oh.
Now, this affected him deeply because he recently had a friend who had passed away whose name was Margaret. So his quote was, "These words made a deep impression on me as Margarete Petratsky, Petratsky, I didn't do too bad, had died recently, and her illness and death had greatly affected me." So to hear what he thought was his friend's voice saying go to sleep was pretty profound. So he started researching such alleged voices on his own and spent the last 10 years of his life exploring electronic voice phenomena. And with the help of various electronic experts, he recorded, are you ready for this? Over 100,000 audio tapes.
Wow.
Most of which were made under what he described as strict laboratory conditions.
That's amazing.
That's your phone. Again.
It's over there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So he collaborated at times with Bender. Over 400 people were involved in his research, and all of them apparently heard their voices. Are you going to pop up some things there? So some of his methods that he used. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, is that we are using technology today which he was working with back in the...
Keep going.
Probably the 1960s, 70s. And I actually have one of his devices, not the one he made, but it's a Raudive recorder, and it's this like a microphone thing that plugs into your digital recorder, and you can't actually hear people asking questions, but apparently it's easier for entities to be able to speak into this particular device. Okay. Not that I had any luck with it, but I didn't get to use it for very long, and I'm trying to find it. I have a feeling that another investigator I worked with may have ended up with it, but we'll keep looking for it, and we'll certainly try to do some work with it again. So he would use microphones. He would just basically put a tape recorder out running with no one talking and would just walk away. Sometimes he would even disconnect the microphone and just leave it sitting there, because the thought was they can just imprint their voices on it. They don't need a microphone. And if you think about it, if we don't hear it with our own ears, why do they need a microphone?
True.
Radio voices, records white noise from a radio that is not tuned to any station. What experiments have we been doing? We've been doing exactly that, where we put it onto white noise and put people on there and get them to tell us, basically start channeling, and the results have been pretty crazy. We've had to pull people off it and get them outside. They've vomited because they go down deep. The white noise seems to do something to some people. We don't do that with just anyone. We only do that in private sort of investigations with those who want to try something different. And diode voices. So this is another one. One records from what is essentially a crystal set. So that was the old crystal set radio, not tuned to a station.
I'd love to try some of that old-fashioned stuff. I'd love to try a crystal set.
Let's do it.
Anyone out there can make a crystal set for us?
Please?
Because we would love to try that.
Yeah. I wanted to, the problem with ghost hunting today is that nobody's really trying much of anything different. And what they are trying is tweaking stuff that is already around and making it a little bit different, like the portal boxes and things, which basically they're connecting an amp to and putting radio pedals on it that give it sound effects. That's not doing anything really different. Yeah. Just gives it a really creepy sounding noise.
Yeah, it makes it sound pretty.
So some of the EVP characteristics that they'd have, the voice entities speak rapidly in a mixture of languages, and sometimes as many as 5 or 6 in 1 sentence. So
That's
it's like
astounding.
they're speaking words, you, So, and I actually did notice when we were working at Quarantine Station, Manly, that sometimes the radio chatter on the spirit boxes, you would get a word that, if you put together, formed a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to be aware of when you're doing that sort of thing as well. They speak in definite rhythm, which seems forced upon them.
Very different to what we're experiencing now.
Yeah. The rhythmic mode imposes a shortened telegram-style phrase or sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that grammatical rules are frequently abandoned and neologisms abound. Now, neologisms, I had to look that one up, Renata.
Oh, you did? Thank you, Miss Anne, because I have no idea what that means.
It means newly made up word.
Oh.
Fluff, bullshit.
Right. So there was a lot of bullshit words.
Yeah, but so who knows? So that I actually have for you. Now, this is really interesting. After Raudive died...
Yes, if we can pull out our old radio gear, my husband.
That's your job, husband.
We could do that. Yes, we could.
I have a recording here, which I'm going to play you guys, of a lady who researches EVP, and she claims that Konstantin Raudive phoned her from the dead and had a communication with her on the other side, which he had promised to do. But not just her. He rang a few people, and it explains quite well. It does go for 4.5 minutes-ish, but it's worthwhile having a listen to. So I'm going to pop this on.
On the first part of this tape, you will have the opportunity to compare the telephone voice of Konstantin Raudive, early Latvian taped voice experimenter who died in 1974. These calls were made to 3 EVP experimenters in the United States. The first segment, lasting 40 seconds, came through my telephone at approximately 10:45 a.m. on January 27, 1994.
So 1994.
My telephone rang normally. I was sitting at the desk in my office working. When I picked up the receiver, a clear male voice said, "This is Konstantin Raudive." I quickly pushed the record button of my Sando tape recorder that is connected to my telephone and asked, "How are you, Dr. Raudive?" This explains his first remark as my tape recorder began recording. "I'm as fine as a dead one can be." It is important to note he heard my question and responded to it in an appropriate way, perhaps showing a dry sense of humor. After that, he went on to complete his message, calling me by name and again saying his name at the end. You will then hear me say, "Thank you so much." You will notice there is no dial sound as he ends his contact, which you normally hear under usual phone call conditions. Others who have received phone calls from the other side have also remarked on the absence of dial tones. The second segment of the tape is a phone call with George Meek, developer of the Spiricom system, and now living in North Carolina, received on the same morning as mine came through. The third segment is a phone call Mark Macy of Colorado received on February the 11th, 1994, through his answering machine. Mark had received a phone call several days before George and I did, as well as Walter Uphoff of Wisconsin. Unfortunately, Mark and Walter did not have a tape recorder connected to their telephone, as George and I did, so could not record Raudive's voice. In his second call, however, to Mark, as already mentioned, Mark found the message on the answering machine after he had been away from home a short time. Mark called George after listening to the message, and George confirmed Raudive had called him earlier that day.
I'm as fine as a dead
Thank you so much.
That's just awesome.
This is the second one.
Good morning, this is George Meek. This is Konstantin Raudive. George, my friend, at last we succeeded in contacting you. Renata is beside me, and she wants to give you all her love. This is Konstantin Raudive. This is the first contact you get from us. I suppose that you can hear me. I can hear you very well, very plainly. Fine, so this is the beginning of a new story, a new chapter, George. You are a very good friend of ours, even if we haven't met. We will continue this. This is the first bridge we succeeded to build to the States. Mark was contacted, and I must interrupt now. Thank you, dear friend.
So, that was the voice of Konstantin Raudive, supposedly, about 20 years after he died, calling fellow people that he had worked with or who were familiar with his work in instrumental transcommunication electronic voice phenomena, and saying this is the first contact. We have built the bridge, but apparently they didn't get much more after that. So I don't know whether he got in trouble for contacting the other side. It's astounding, but you can hear what they're talking about, how they speak in a rhythm, and it's almost like that monotone.
Yes.
Almost like Daleks, really.
Yeah. It's like a computer generated.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
If you think of time warping or something like that, whether they had no more use of voice boxes, so therefore they had some sort of instrument that made the noise for them.
Or if you look at the thoughts of physical mediumship, is that they would have used ectoplasm to form a voice box for the particular reason to communicate, supposedly. Anyway, that is my little presentation on Konstantin Raudive. I hope you enjoyed that. Now we get on to reincarnation.
Wow.
Once again, it is not tarot night tonight. Monday night is our education night where we are doing the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness, but we hope very much that you will support us as much in this one as you do our Thursday night ones as well. Ha 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 ha, Grant. I suppose the line went dead at the end. It's pretty full on. How did they know to record? They have tape recorders. Back in those days, they actually had tape recorders connected to the phone lines, or they would leave recorders, just little box ones. You just press record, so people could leave a message, and then the person would listen to it later. So it would be quite normal to have a tape recorder of some form or other nearby, particularly if you're a scientist, because they would have recorded their thoughts and anything that came to them at the time. I'm not going to sleep tonight.
It is astounding to think, if that is completely true of what happened with regard to those calls, and there's no reason not to believe those people. How far advanced is that from what paranormal teams seem to be picking up on now when they are using S-boxes and all of that sort of stuff? It's like in some way we have gone backwards, or there is a missing link somewhere. That
ego seems to have kicked in, and it's more about looking good on TV rather than pursuing the science of something new, which is really sad. Then you get the people out there who just tear people down, who are trying to do something different for no other reason other than that floats their boat, gives them a stiffy, so to speak.
Glad I'm not recording that.
I made sure it was turned off before we got to that. Once again, I am the potty mouth of the show. I do like to upset her every now and then.
But
all
you
right.
guys know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yes, we've got a couple
We've
of...
got
We've got some haters, which means we're doing it right.
there's one in every crowd. Someone that likes to stir shit and then walk away and go, it wasn't me. I don't know anything about it. But it's okay, because you know what?
All I can say is, the people involved,
No.
ask us for an interview. We'll talk to you. Not a problem. You run your own show. We'll interview us. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
let's go. We're on to our second topic, reincarnation. Here we go.
So we are on to our second topic for the evening tonight, and we are going to be talking about reincarnation. Now, I was not really a huge fan of the whole reincarnation idea. To tell you the honest truth, I haven't really thought a lot about it. But I ran a poll earlier on this week or last week and asked some of our likers who believes in reincarnation. And blow me down, probably 99% of all the responses that we got said yes.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing. There was only maybe in the 160, 170 responses that we received, maybe a handful that said no, or I haven't thought about it or whatever. In most cases,
I haven't made up my mind on what happens over there yet.
Yeah, it was
Something's
a resounding yes. So that is quite interesting in that, do we only attract people who do believe in life after death, obviously, or reincarnation? Or is the paranormal field or the ghost hunting sort of spiritual field more open to, all different types of ideas? But certainly the followers that we have tend to believe that we all come back for some odd reason. What are we fulfilling? So let me give you a little bit of history about reincarnation and where it comes from first. Now, unfortunately, I have to read notes, so please excuse me.
She didn't memorise it all like
me. Looking down on my notes. Like I said, this isn't kind of my field of interest.
Yeah, look, if
se.
I hold it up here, there. Nobody will know.
No, nobody
will know at all.
Okay. So belief in reincarnation has become commonplace throughout the West within the last 2 centuries, thanks in part to their inclusion in Western esotericism and New Age movements. While many of these tenets are heavily borrowed from religions on the Indian subcontinent, the idea that humanity experiences individual cycles of death and rebirth also exists in pre-Christian European and African civilizations. Now, interestingly enough, I believe there was a period of time when Christianity also allowed the belief in reincarnation.
Oh.
Until
they
said, we better not talk about that anymore.
They also used to use tarot cards, but we won't talk about that either.
So reincarnation is a core philosophy shared by all religions originating in India, and it's known by the Sanskrit name samsara.
That's a nickname.
It can be redefined as a continuous cycle of life, death, and reincarnation. Samsara can be literally translated as wandering on, and is described in some contexts as the aimless drifting of a soul moving through multiple lifetimes, each time in a different suit of skin. For many Hindus and Buddhists, the eventual goal is to achieve liberation from this endless sequence of illusion. Staying in the cycle affects each person's perception and actions, causing the generation of karma that impacts how he or she is reborn in future incarnations. And it's not karma like we think. And I'm going to explain that right at the end. It's a different type of karma. So while Hindus typically refer to this release from samsara as moksha, Buddhists are more likely to use the term nirvana to designate an ultimate end to desires that propagate the birth-death cycle. So from what I understand, you keep coming back until you've learnt the fucking lesson.
Till you get it right.
And then you piss off and go, that's it, I'm done.
So
I have been enlightened.
Then you're allowed to go and sleep with virgins forevermore.
No, that's a different religion.
Oh,
but
sorry.
Anyway. So the Greeks also had a notion that their dead resided permanently in a dreary underworld, dependent on their friends and families to keep their memories alive. Some mystery cults and alternative religions at the time purported that souls travelled in a continual birth-death cycle from which they could be freed by self-purification and the will of the gods, and in some cases could be reborn as animals. Well,
that's why they won't step on ants.
No.
Because it could be their uncle.
Exactly.
Is deja vu a form of reincarnation?
It's not a form of reincarnation. It is a form of what you can experience as someone who has been reincarnated. And I'll talk about that in a minute too. So reincarnation as a religious ideology has been documented in some African religions, where Earth is termed as the marketplace. When a family member returns, one component of his or her soul is reincarnated into a new body, while the other stays in a celestial realm. Reincarnation may be a relatively new concept in modern Western societies, thanks in part to Christian cultural influences. But yet again, if you read, you will find that the good old Christians believed in reincarnation too.
Becky, if I remember correctly, the reason why that you get wiped clean is because it would be overwhelming to carry the knowledge from one lifetime into another lifetime, with all the hurt and the pain and the love that you've experienced. That's just from my readings.
Okay, so let's just move on to a couple of more different belief systems. So during ancient times, the followers of the Egyptian god Thoth taught about reincarnation. In Corpus Hermeticum, a set of writings attributed to Thoth, it says everybody is changeable. That's everybody is changeable. That means that after the body dies, the essence that occupies that body will occupy another body, which explains verse 70 of the book of Corpus Hermeticum, Book 1, that which is mortal comes not into a body immortal, but that which is immortal comes into that which is mortal. That's deep. Sufism believes in transmigration, which means the soul from one person goes into another. And the Buddhists don't believe in the concept of the human soul. Buddhists believe that it is consciousness which transfers from one body to another. Now, just a little bit about our Indigenous Aboriginals. Now, I've tried to look up some information here, and there's a little bit of consistency, but in some cases there isn't. So just letting you all know that I am going to be talking about our Indigenous Aboriginals and their belief on reincarnation. And again, I don't know anything about it. It's just what I read, and there could be a wide variety of beliefs all over Australia.
I do like Kathy's comment here about truly, I'm not sure if I believe, so many women believe that there've been reincarnation of Cleopatra. You're not wrong. How many people who are reincarnated go, oh, I'm reincarnation of Jesus?
No one's ever a reincarnation of some scrubber woman.
Of Bob Brown from down the pub.
From the 1800s who just had to scrub toilets for the rest of her life. No. So ideas about the afterlife are fairly similar over much of Aboriginal Australia, though the details vary between areas. There is a basic similarity throughout Aboriginal Australia, though there is no single uniform belief about the afterlife. A person's actions during life have no bearing on the well-being of his spirit in the afterlife. There is no hell or heaven as referring to a place where only those who were good during life are allowed to enter. The uncertainty as to whether a dead person's spirit is allowed to enter the land of the dead is based more on whether they display physical signs of having taken part in certain rites, such as initiation, and to whether or not the mourners have carried out the appropriate mortuary rites correctly. The sanctions applied here are usually very vague. One belief that seems to be universal is or at least almost universal throughout Aboriginal Australia, is the indestructible nature of the human spirit, though there are occasional statements to the contrary. The spirit of a deceased person is believed to retain the individual identity of the person immediately after death, but generally this is a temporary state. The loss of personal distinctiveness or separateness is not seen as the destruction of the spirit.
Right.
It is perceived as one approach to the concept of immortality, regardless of whether or not reincarnation is involved. The concept of the eternal dreaming was basic to the view of the world held by people throughout Aboriginal Australia, as well as a person's relationship to the social and physical environment. The span of a person's earthly life is a framework for explanations for the meaning of life that are based generally on a body of belief, more or less systemized, centering on birth, death as a transition, and rebirth. Death is seen as a transition rite, ensuring the continuance of the cycle, the main emphasis being on essentially an unchanging panoramic view of life.
Wow.
Very interesting. I'd love to know more. I would really love to know more about the religious beliefs.
Nicole's got a comment there. Do you think people who feel like soulmates, the ones we feel like we've known before, may have reincarnated alongside us?
Okay, I'm going to read you something about karma.
Is that
So
soul
this might open up a can of worms for people who
Because I've heard of
believe,
soul groups. Is that coming up?
who believe that they might be soulmates.
I hope so, because I really want to catch up with my husband in the next lifetime.
Because people think that the whole soulmate thing is about falling in love and finding your soul partner, but it may not be at all.
She's my soul sister.
Oh, gee. Well, we've got some work to do, woman. Anyway, there is a law of karma, but it is not like many people think it is. If soul A kills soul B in one lifetime, then in a later lifetime, soul B will kill soul A. That is the effect of karma.
Ah.
So if you have pissed off someone to the point of no return and made their life absolute agony, you can bet your soul when you come back and get reincarnated again, you're going to meet that she-devil and she's going to piss all over you.
You're going to find out what it's like.
That's karma. So,
wrong night, Shelley. That's Thursday night.
Karma is not about cosmic justice or divine retribution. From the perspective of spirit, there is no need for cosmic justice because there is no such thing as cosmic justice. Karma is really about learning through entanglement.
Oh, Roman's back on. Quantum entanglement.
If I do something in physical life that violates your free will, we will become entangled. We both feel the lack of equilibrium between us. It's like we have become tied together by a rope. The only way to restore equilibrium is to undo the entanglement by having you violate my free will in a similar way. That way we both know from experience what it is like to be both the violator and the violated. So this is where we look at the hooks and taking out the hooks from people when they are having issues. And on an etheric, on an energetic level, you remove the hooks that have been planted by other people that make you feel a certain way or go through certain things that you do all the time, and you don't understand why.
I was a colander today. There was water shooting out everywhere.
Because you're still entangled. So the removal of those entanglements on an energetic level may free you from that karmic contract.
Right.
But that would also mean that whoever the healer is needs to also energetically heal the other person so that there's equilibrium and balance. That's a thought, healers, you have to think about.
One of the things I heard from one of the physical mediums we've been to where they channel and do all that stuff is that they talk about if you have a karmic debt, then you don't have to pay it back to the soul of the person you did it to. You can actually help someone who is in a similar situation. And by helping that person as a guide or a teacher, you will all keep saying, who is my guide, who is my teacher on the other side. Or sometimes you have these interim ones who have a karmic debt that they have to pay off. So they come in, they help you, they guide you to overcome the problem that they caused for someone else, and it pays off their karmic debt. Isn't that profound?
So things, all of these things seem to, again, be entangled in the explanation of all of this sort of stuff. So I guess you've got to look over all of this yourself and try and work out what has meaning for you. I'll just finish this. Souls tend to commit karmic acts in the early stages of their reincarnations when they have less experience of human existence. So it means that when they're young souls, they tend to do all the damage. And then when they come back time and time again to learn the lessons, they tend to do less and less and less damage. The more lives they live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can hypnosis and age regression help remove them?
You have to be careful with hypnosis and all of that sort of stuff. If you're not planting memories that aren't there, and that's kind of a whole another program.
And I think the whole idea is to actually go through the process to learn the lesson. It's not to avoid it.
Yes, yeah. That's also part of the shadow work that we do. It's about sitting in the pain, sitting in the process
or
rather than
kink.
Avoiding it and swallowing it up with drugs and alcohol and all the other things that you would do.
No.
So typical karmic acts are murder, rape, dismemberment, imprisonment, and abandonment. That's interesting. In all cases, a person imposes something on another against the other's will. There is no karmic entanglement for acts that are accidental or not by choice.
We have some people with memories of being a girl from Whitehall. There was someone else who said they were burnt at the stake as a witch. Wouldn't that be a chakra thing?
Well, it can be a chakra thing. I'd probably get Christy to talk to you about that, depending on what your issue was or what emotions you are stuck with. They will show up in a particular chakra, of course, yes, and that's what you have to deal with. So energetic healing is something that can really relieve this type of anxiety and stress.
I love the concept of paying it forward as well. I really do.
Now, one of the things that I also looked at was...
who told you had bad karmic debt? It's like saying you've got an attachment.
Yeah, don't listen to that.
Don't take it on. Don't take it on.
Please. I kind of searched around and had a look at, what do you really want to know about reincarnation? And there were a lot of questions about how long does it take for you to come back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Christy just answered, not necessarily the energy centers can be blocked by childhood stuff, but also through ancestral 3 to 4 generations back.
Thank you, Christy. So after the soul leaves one life, it undergoes many activities. And Barry McGuinness, who was a psychologist, a writer, and a mediator, said that it can take however long we want or need to return. You can meet up with loved ones, digest the lessons to be learned from a past life, have energy cleansed and replenished, recover higher consciousness and reincarnational perspective, hang out and compare notes with soulmates, and have meetings with guides and masters. That's between lives, right? Going off on exciting astral adventures just for the fun of it.
Oh, wow, Lorna. Ooh, she was badly hung in France, wearing a blue dress and was pregnant.
Oh.
Her cousin was prostitute.
Oh, dear. Wow. So this can take months, years, or decades. In the cases he has studied, he says that statistically the average interval between lives is approximately half of your lived life. So if you lived for 70 years, it'll take you about 30 years, 35 years to come back to another one, which is interesting.
Mm.
Now, there is another person who is named Sean Murphy, who published many works on philosophy and religion. And he says the shortest time has been examined, and the people who suffered a violent death were reborn into a new body within a number of weeks.
Wow.
Ghost research shows that there are many people still wandering around aimlessly for hundreds of years earthbound. And from the life after life stories of children who die at a young age, we find that they first grow into adulthood in the spiritual world before being prepared for their next incarnation. Now, remember, guys, all of this information is from people who have been studying stories and there is no kind of scientific text that really says that there is this way and there are no other ways. So we have to take everything with a grain of salt.
Christy, can you put your contact links up there for people so they can contact you? Because she is amazing at finding your triggers and what you need to do to heal yourself. So Meditation at Morpeth with Christy. She's got the Anne Renata Good at the moment because she's working for us. So she's posting stuff for us. But Christy, if you can put your information up there so if people want to contact you, you can do that by Skype as well. It doesn't have to be at her place where she lives. But she is absolutely amazing and has worked with big named people in the field and
done lots of coaching sessions. So
she
she's
teaches
really good.
people how to do it. So get onto her. There's Magical Solutions. That's you. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yes, can I just read a story? One reincarnation story.
Yeah,
because some of the reincarnation stories are amazing. So this is a kind of a well-known story. It might sort of tweak when I go into it. In 2002. A Dr. Tucker, who was doing a case study on reincarnation, was contacted to appear on a show about reincarnation, and the program unfortunately never aired. And it was told about a James Leininger, a 4-year-old Louisiana boy who believed that he was once a World War II pilot who had been shot down over Iwo Jima.
I heard this.
Bruce and Andrea Leininger first realized that James, their son, had these memories when he was 2 and woke up from a nightmare yelling, "Airplane crash, plane on fire, little man can't get out." He also knew details about World War II aircraft that it would seem impossible for a toddler to know. For instance, when Andrea referred to an object on the bottom of a toy plane as a bomb, James corrected her by saying it was a drop tank. Another time, he and his parents were watching a History Channel documentary and the narrator called a Japanese plane a Zero. James insisted that it was a Tony. In both cases, he was right. The boy said that he had also been named James in his previous life and that he had flown off a ship named the Natoma. The Leiningers discovered a World War II aircraft carrier called the USS Natoma Bay. In its squadron was a pilot named James Houston, who had been killed in action over the Pacific. James talked incessantly about his plane crashing, and he was disturbed by nightmares a few times a week. His desperate mother contacted past life therapist Carol Berman for help. Berman told Andrea not to dismiss what James was saying and to assure him that whatever had happened had occurred in another life and body, and he was safe now. Andrea followed her advice and James's dreams diminished. His parents co-authored Soul Survivor, a 2009 book about their family story. Now, I kind of remember seeing a program or a bit on TV.
It was a British TV show.
Where they took the young lad, once he was a little bit older, out
to the house.
To the lake. No, but to a water. I
remember seeing there was a whole group of kids they did this with.
Yeah, a body of water, and he could actually show them where the plane had crashed, and they sent divers down and they found the plane.
Wow.
They found the plane.
Ooh.
So, like this was a 2-year-old child, and if any of you have 2-year-old childs, yes, I'm sure you all think they're geniuses. But this is a really hard story
Until they poo in your shoe.
to remember as a 2-year-old and to keep on referencing. Even if you've seen it on TV, they will eventually get things wrong. So it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
David Campbell's youngest son is believed to be Princess Diana's reincarnation. How did
Wow.
they work that one out, Vicky?
Wow. So, yes.
But how can you tell if it is past life memories and not something from the spirit of the person passed on?
Well, I guess you don't. It's the ownership. That's the different thing. These people actually do, or these young children who have all of these past lives. And another thing they kind of say is that this is more relevant in societies that deeply believe in past life. So there are a lot of children in India and in countries where past life is and reincarnation is really deeply ingrained in their psyche, that believe they've come back and they are somebody else. And there are stories of children going into the next village and being able to say, that's where I live, that's where my family is, my wife's in there, my kids are in there, because he just died a few weeks ago or a couple of years ago from some sort of a road crash or something, and this little child now thinks that or believes that they are the reincarnation of that person. The stories are unbelievable. So all of this stuff going on, there has to be something to it. There has to be something to it. There can't be hundreds of parents sitting around going, we're going to make our child believe that he's been reincarnated.
Our child needs to be special.
Yes, we're going to make him believe that, or she, that they have been reincarnated. We are going to fill them full of information. And they don't pick stories where they are the reincarnation of Cleopatra.
Yeah, they're just ordinary people.
Ordinary people, and that's the amazing bit about it. So it's quite an interesting subject. Yeah. Did you enjoy that?
I did.
Yeah, I really liked. I liked the bit about karma as well,
yes.
And this karma as entangling us from the quantum sense. And from what your husband was saying last week about everything being entangled, and we are now all just in the process of continually untangling ourselves from each other, it really does make sense.
Yeah.
Really does make sense.
Right, well, that brings us to the end of our topics for this evening, but we've got a few reminders. We've got a few questions here. Do we carry any attributes from past life to the present? How do we know our purpose?
If I had a dollar for everyone who asked me about a purpose in life, and I've got to say that sometimes there is no purpose in life other than to live it and to gain wisdom. And if you're looking at the whole reincarnation and karmic journey, then your purpose in life is to be wiser than you were in the last life. Because as I read before, the idea is that every life you reincarnate into, it brings you closer to enlightenment. It brings you closer to that eternal wisdom that says, I'm not making those same stupid mistakes anymore, those stupid things that I did and the silly ideas that I had and the worthless notions of what was important in a previous life no longer exist in this one. I have come to that knowledge that is not what is important. And in most cases, guys, that is your purpose at actually being alive. So it's not about being a rocket scientist or saving 1,000 lives or having this sense of being driven. I think if you're driven to be someone in particular, you are born with that. And you have to be that no matter what it takes, whether it be a ballerina or a pianist or an accountant or whatever it is, you are driven to do that. Other than that, most people kind of just go, I'm here to learn. And that is your life's purpose. Stop making it more difficult for yourself, people.
Your
You
life's
don't have
purpose
to.
may just be to walk in front of somebody at a certain time so they're meant to walk in a different direction. Could be something as simple as that. Don't stress about it. Just be happy and follow your dream, not what others. Now, you don't like this question.
Now, Mark, I have told you I don't freaking know. I was actually talking to Maitland Jail today, and they cannot inform me when they are going to be open at this stage.
But we will be there Friday night doing a live cross on this channel, so make sure you stay watching.
I actually been on Newcastle Ghost Tours.
Oh, it's on there as well?
Yes, it'll be on Newcastle Ghost Tours.
Oh, that's right. I've got to add it into that feed. Sorry. I'll have to take one of them. I'll take it off YouTube and I'll put it onto Newcastle Ghost Tours. Yes, so get ready for that. We will be there. We kick off around about 7, don't we? We're in there
7
at 6.
to 8 and 8. No. 8 to 7:30 to 8.
No, 7 till 8. Or 7 till 7:45.
Yep.
And then 8:30 till probably 9:15.
Yes.
We only did a half-hour block before. It wasn't long enough. We've got to be in there a bit longer. So we will be doing some experiments and putting ourselves in dark places and God knows what.
But also the exciting thing is that we want you to be part of the virtual ghost hunt. So we're going to ask you questions. We're going to get you involved in answering some of those questions.
And it's free.
Online.
Free.
And if you think we've charged too much, ask for a refund.
Or slash your seats. All right, so that brings us to the end. Please make sure you've liked our page and that you've subscribed and following us and doing all that sort of stuff. If you'd like a private reading with Renata, head to luckypsychic.com. If you'd like to buy some paranormal equipment, you might need to wait for a while, but I do have some stock still left. I do have some spirit boxes and EMF meters and some ghost hunting cameras. So grab it while you can, because God knows when the next batch is coming in.
And believe, guys, we are trying our darndest to get back to work. We can't at the moment. Everything is closed down. The moment we can get away, we will get away and at least do some live feeds for you and get you to join in some virtual ghost hunts. That's all we can do. Believe you me, we are earning absolutely zero money at this point in time. There is nothing available. Our businesses have gone down the tubes. The only thing we are running is the Introduction to Paranormal Investigating, which started last week. We've got week 2 tomorrow night. We will run that one again later in the year. So we are working on some online classes to teach you guys as cheap as chips and give us some money to pay our bills. So thank you to all our Patreon supporters who are keeping us afloat. And we are planning a road trip. Soon as the states are open, we are going to head south. We are heading down into Melbourne and then across out through the Grampians and hopefully over into Adelaide. So we're going to be on the road for about 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks in the little red ghost car. So we will take all of you with us virtually to enjoy every crazy moment. And let me tell you, it will be crazy. We love you all. Thank you for being with us tonight, and we'll see you on the dark side. Bye. Bye.